Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Deancothill and really wonderful to host you today. Today's topic is story and what it means to tell stories and why stories matter. And I genuinely believe sharing our stories is one of the most sacred things that we can do with our friends and with our families and with the communities that we find ourselves in. On the other side of the coin, stories are also vitally important to brands and to communities, and especially in our local churches. So we each individually have a story, but in our communities also have a story to tell. Now I'd like to jump straight into an illustration where if I ask you or if I tell you, Jack loves Jill, what does that tell us? If anything, what does that tell us? I'll give you a second to think about it. I think you realize very, very quickly that it doesn't actually tell us anything. I've often heard that Jack and Jill are in a relationship. Well, no, it actually doesn't say that. That Jack loves Jill. Yep, that's true. Does Jill love Jack? Well, we don't actually know. What kind of love is this? Is it a brother and sister? Is it a romantic relationship, platonic relationship? Even somebody said maybe there's a pet involved. Maybe Jack loves Jill, who is his cat or his Labrador. So we don't actually know anything just by that statement. Jack loves Jill. The moment we begin to add imagery though, you can see how the sparks and the little kindles of fire begin to light up in our minds in terms of the story that we can begin to tell. All of a sudden, Jack and Jill are at a wedding, and Jack loves Jill. All of a sudden, it is a grandparent with a grandchild, and Jack loves Jill. All of a sudden, it is a father and a daughter, and Jack loves Jill. All of a sudden, there are pets involved, a little boy who loves his dog, or even a cat. Jack loves Jill. And what if I tell you that Jack was from the other side of town, where there was no hope, no faith in his future, wasn't really sure how he was going to make ends meet, but on the other side of the track was a music school, and Jack really wanted to learn how to play the piano. And as Jack went to the music school, he met a girl who also went to lessons, Jill, who was at a private school and a completely different way of life. And I'll begin to tell you the story of how Jack and Jill become friends, this unlikely pair, and how they went through every trial and every adversity and every hurdle, and they made it through eventually, overcoming every obstacle to find themselves in a romantic relationship where Jack can confidently say that he loves Jill, to the point where Jill would on their wedding day also say that she loves Jack. I think you see our emotional investment increases almost exponentially because we are now involved in the story. What we so often do on our social media platforms, on our digital platforms, on our websites, is we say Jack loves Jill. And somebody who might be reading that for the first time or seeing that for the first time goes, I've got no idea what that means. So we say things like welcome home or you belong here. What do those things mean within the stories of us individually? And what do those things mean for us as communities? And this is where the stories come alive for each of us. We've been telling stories for thousands of years. Thousands of years ago, we would sit around a campfire and we would share and tell stories there. If you find yourself at a party or a local gathering or at a braai here in South Africa, you might be meeting somebody for the first time. You can almost tell in about 5 minutes what matters to that person based on the stories that they start telling you. And it is the same thing with our brands, it is the same thing with our businesses, and especially it is the same thing with our churches and the way that we communicate to our communities and to our congregations. What stories are we telling? Which stories matter to us? Which stories naturally flow out of who we are as individuals and flow out of who we are as communities, that the moment somebody walks into a building or sees something online, they can go, that is what they are talking about, because that is the story that they keep telling you. I hope that you found this helpful, that the way we go about telling stories in our communities of ourselves and of our communities is of vital importance, because people connect with stories. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you'd like to come along for the ride, please hit the subscribe button. I'll see you soon.